So we have a number of things to share tonight, so we're going to jump right in. Jon's going to do real quick just an overview of what he's kind of been doing as people have been coming in the meeting. We will, if you go and you hover over the bottom of your screen, you'll see a little bubble that says chat. So if while people are talking you have a question and you want to type it in, Henry and I will monitor the chat box. That way we can call on you and know that you have a question or read your question instead of us having to all be unmuted and getting all that ambient noise. And we all love to talk so much. So, so please use the chat box, and I'm going to turn it over to Jon.
If you guys want to show your face in the bottom left-hand corner over here, if you're using a computer, there's going to be two little icons. One's going to say mute, and one's going to say, or one of them's going to have a microphone, and one of them's going to have a video camera. If you want us to see your face, click on the video camera. If you don't, that's fine. Right now, like Liz said, we probably won't be talking too much. If you need to send a chat message, there's a little icon that looks like this at the bottom of the page here. That's the chat icon, and if you click on that, it should say it's going to everyone, and they'll be monitoring that, so we'll be able to answer any questions you have. That's all I have. Looks like we got 3 messages.
Mostly just thank you to you, Jon, for getting this all set up. I will tell you, this is, I love Jon a lot. I hate him a little because I was getting all ready to be doing this. And what took me 2.5 hours to figure out what the heck I was doing took him about 15 minutes. So I mostly love that about him, but hate him just a little. But at any rate, thank you again, Jon, for taking
No problem.
It's going to be more and more, I'm sure, over the next month. So our first person to share with us will be Sherri Masson, doing an update on what we're doing with Democracy 2020.
So, hi, everybody. Putting this together really was kind of bittersweet because I had one all planned for our last month meeting before I came down with something, but it really looked completely different because that was before the shutdown. So this is sort of a revised version, but I wanted to let you know that there are 3 big things that everybody has to do right now and has to think about. Number 1, staying healthy and staying at home. Number 2, supporting our healthcare and essential service workers. I just am so impressed with all of you just sewing your little hands off, making caps and masks and doing kind things. The steering committee getting vitamin water for Huron Valley COVID unit, and just this innumerable things that everyone's done. But the third thing is defending democracy. And with everything that's going on, this is really still very, very important. We all know that this is the election of our lifetime, and one that is so critical that we all stay engaged. And it's a little sometimes difficult to stay engaged when you're concerned about all those things that are going on. But we can help you out with that. That's really what Indivisible, your Indivisible group and family is for, is keeping you actively engaged in defending democracy. But I wanted to introduce, first of all, our Democracy 2020 team that has been meeting once a month since I think just before the holidays. And this group is, their task is to figure out how Indivisible Huron Valley will be connected to the 2020 election. And it's made up of the people that are listed on the screen: myself, Liz, Nancy Check, Larry LeClaire, Connie Lippert, Pat Hinsey, Allison Rose, Karen Adams, Donna Williams, Jim Williams, Janet Prang, and Holly Nickerson. And this group really has a lot of different talents and different skills, and they are all being going to be involved in different aspects of whatever is going to happen in front of us. We have worked on a timeline. We've worked on setting up teams. A lot of that has changed, but we're going to move forward. Now, I can tell you the 2 areas that I know we're really truly focusing on that we've already done, and that we are easily can transition into a virtual mode for them. And this involves educating our membership. And really, so we're better voters. We're more informed voters. At the end of 2018, I don't know how many times we heard people say, I went into that ballot box, or I filled out my ballot and I knew more about the candidates that are running than I've ever known in my life. And so we want that to be able to happen again. One of the things we're going to do, other than have candidates who wish to stop in, we've already had a few at our meetings in person, and we're going to try to get some to come in during our virtual meetings as well. But if you recall, 2 years ago, we had a candidate forum in May, and we called it a woman's places in the House, meaning the State House. And the reason for that is we realized when we looked at the roster of all the State House candidates, and we're talking the ones that impact our Huron Valley area, they were all women. In fact, in this case, they were all women running for office for the first time, I believe. And it was very well received. And then again, when we sat down to look at who we might invite to a virtual forum, because that's more than likely what it will be, that they were women again. So we thought, why not do this again? A woman's place in the House. And so we'll be inviting State House candidates that cover the area of our Indivisible Huron Valley membership. And it'll be on May 13th, which is our next Indivisible meeting at 7 p.m. And it more than likely, and I think you can count on it, will be a virtual forum. We'll have candidates here and we will hear from them, but you'll also have an opportunity to ask them questions in the chat room. The other thing we've done is that all candidates in the 38th, 39th, 44th, and 43rd State House districts have been sent a survey, and our county commission candidates have been sent a survey. And because we are a grassroots, a values-driven group, and we're not connected directly to the Democratic Party, we have the flexibility to do a lot of things that the party can't do. But because we are nonpartisan, we believe it's important to decide which candidates we'll publicly support based on their values rather than their party affiliation. So these surveys were sent to the candidates for State House and County Commission of all parties. So we sent them to Republicans as well. When they return, if they wish to get this designation, we're not calling it an endorsement because we're giving it to all people whose survey responses match our values. And that way we can say, this candidate matches our values, our Huron Valley, our Indivisible values, and we're going to publicly support their events and their candidacies. So far, we have given our blue ribbon candidate designations to Denise Forrest from, who's running, as you know, for State Rep District 44, Megan McAllister for State Rep District 38, Julia Pulver, State Rep District 39, Karen Adams, County Commission, and Jim Williams, County Commission. Now we're hoping that we get more of these surveys back soon so we can give out more of these designations, but these are the ones that have returned the survey so far. But this again is to inform our members of the fact that these candidates are matching our values. Okay, we're also going to collaborate, and the main collaboration is with SWIM. As most of you know, you've heard us mention, Liz and I talk about it before, SWIM is statewide Indivisible Michigan. Last year, in May, I think it was, about 43 different leaders of different indivisible groups around the state of Michigan got together. And they decided to form a statewide organization. So we've asked indivisible groups to adopt at least one, maybe two of these races that they can get behind. Now, ours was a pretty easy decision. We adopted Denise's candidacy in the 44th and Julia's in the 39th, because that's where our members live. So it was an easy adoption process for us. One of the things that SWIM is doing, besides matching up these candidates to indivisible groups, is they're having what we call Blue Wave Wednesdays. And every Wednesday, they will feature one of the flippable candidates or the SWIM candidates, and we'll be putting it on social media. Now, you're going to see, if you're on our Facebook page, our member page, candidates that you're not even going to vote for. But we're putting them there because you need to know that they are swim candidates, flippable candidates. We need to support all of these candidates around the state. So if you can send them $5, $10, even just a little bit, it's helpful. As you can imagine, we can't hold candidates can't hold regular fundraisers now. They can't do so many of the things that they normally would do with the old models. And so they need to rely on our donations. They're gonna have to do a lot more mailings, a lot more signage and things like that. So when you see these candidates on Wednesdays pop up, they'll give a little 1-minute video and talk about where they're from. They could be Northern Michigan, Western Michigan, but these are SWIM, Indivisible sponsored candidates that we really think have a shot at flipping the House. Denise is going to be the featured Blue Wave Wednesday candidate on May 6th, so look for that. And Julia will be the Blue Wave candidate for our District 39 on May 13th. The other organization we're collaborating with is a group called Swing Left, and that's a national organization that I believe it's from California, out of California, but it just focuses on swing states, which we're obviously one of. And what this does, by becoming a part of Swing Left, we have some of their resources available to us, like Zoom accounts, and our meetings and any events that we have are publicized by Swing Left on Mobilize. Now, the big question, what can we do to help our candidates now, right now, while we're stuck inside? Well, here's the easy stuff. Donate, just like I just got done saying, to whatever you can to the candidates to help them, because every dollar makes a difference. The next thing is to go to their Facebook pages, their Twitter accounts, follow them, like them, and then share that information on your Facebook page. And sign up, go to their websites, publicize their website whenever you have a chance. Know what their hashtags are if you're using Facebook or Twitter. The big deal here is to expand their digital footprint. Let's do whatever we can to get their faces out there, their names out there, and all their contact information and their donation links. And like Julia Pulver is doing a weekly Tuesday town hall. So sign up to go to those. They're very interesting. She's a lot of different topics. She had Denise on a panel about public education. And so if we can get more and more people to go and visit those and attend those events, that's helpful. And if you don't use social media, send an email to your friends and to your contacts. Ask them to donate, give them their website address, and just basically pass the word along. And there are actions you can take while wearing your pajamas. Phone calls. Julia Pulver is phone banking right now and could use some volunteers to do some virtual phone banking. If you are interested in doing that, and I believe all the phone banking that she's doing right now is really checking in with people, seeing how they're doing during this time of sheltering at home, and just sort of checking in. And so the script is that sort of a script. But if you're interested in making phone calls, if you think you want to do that for Julia, please contact her campaign as info@juliapulver.com. Or you can contact me and I'll make sure that her campaign manager knows that you are interested in phone banking. And of course, postcards, as you heard Karen say, that's about the extent of what can be done at this moment. Denise's postcards are here, they're in, and she needs your help to get those written and out into the public. There are packets of 25 or 50, and they'll be on Connie Lippert's front porch for you to pick up. I'm not going to tell you too many more details because I know Connie is going to let you know more details, or Denise, about that later. But she lives at 702 East Huron Street in Milford. And Karen Adams is still doing postcards for her campaign for county commission. And if you want to do postcards for Karen, email her at karenjaneadams80@gmail.com. And Karen will deliver them to your front porch, and you can fill those out and help her out. I just wanted to close by saying one thing. The Democracy 2020 team doesn't know that, but there is officially a Democracy 2020 hotline right now, and it is me. So you can contact, we're going to put this in the newsletter to follow up, but what we're looking for are creative ideas. Out of the box, off the wall maybe it seems like, but any kind of creative idea you can come up with to get our candidates' faces and names and contact information out there to the public and out of our bubble, because we're in a bubble here on the internet and social media. So we got to push our ways out there in a safe way. So if you have a brilliant idea, get in touch with me, and we're going to collect all these ideas and take a look at them and see if we can't come up with something new. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. That was a lot. Things that came up in the chat while you were talking. One was Nomi wanted to know why Kelly Breen wasn't listed as a blue ribbon candidate or specifically. And so if anybody else was wondering that, the people who are listed are the people who returned their surveys. We sent out a survey asking specific questions that would reflect their values, so that we have documentation that we're making them a blue ribbon candidate because we're values driven and they support our values. So then the only people who have so far responded for the forum are Nicole and Megan. So as soon as we hear from those other people, that will certainly be updated, but we're not leaving anybody out. We have sent out to all of the women running, including the one Republican who is running. And also we have sent to everybody who is running for commissioner or state house on either side of the table, so that they all have had a chance to respond. We just can't respond back to them until they respond to us. So if anybody else was wondering about that, that's why. So the next thing on our agenda, you know that you've heard us harp on this for a long time, well, 3 years anyway. We are a grassroots group, and although all of us as individuals certainly are putting our support behind the up-ticket candidates that we support that speak to us, but our energies as a group do go to our local candidates, our more grassroots candidates, and we had very good luck doing that in 2018 and found that getting the vote out and driving for those candidates right in our community brought the vote out and pushed candidates that we supported all the way up through the ticket. So on that note, we have a wonderful candidate with us tonight, Ms. Denise Forrest, and her kitchen cabinet, which is also wears 2 hats. They're also our Legislative Action Committee, and they're absolutely amazing. And so I'm going to turn it over to Connie Lippert, who is the team leader for that team, and let her tell us what's going on there.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Nice introduction, Liz. I'm just going to read what I have here. I have a little introduction for us. We want to thank all our volunteers so far and our donors and our supporters that we've had so far. We know this is a hard time for everyone and how easy it is to feel like we should just give up. But we on the campaign know that you are out there and you're eager to support us in any way you can, and we really appreciate that. In that light, I'd like to say a little bit about social media, and more specifically about Facebook. A lot of people don't like Facebook, and I get why. You have to be concerned with not only the technology and the navigation, but the security of it, and it can feel overwhelming. But social media, including Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, has become one of the most important ways we have to reach our voters in District 44. And if we don't adapt to it, then we can't win. So if you would like to contribute to the campaign in a way that just requires a little time and learn the basics and experiment a little bit, try it out with the idea that you might screw something up, but it's all fixable. Experiment and learn about it. Learn the basics, and then when you're ready to learn to share on Facebook, that's when you can really help our campaign. Then you can tell your friends and your family about Denise on social media, and more specifically on Facebook. which creates a buzz about Denise and her platform, and about, more importantly, our values and her values for supporting public education, for clean air and water, and for fair wages for working people. So this is the message that we want to get out. And if you can learn to share on Facebook, that's kind of what we're pushing for now in our coronavirus environment here. So with that, I'll have Denise take over. She'd like to give you a message now too.
Yes, hi everybody. Good evening. It's good to see you all as 1 by 2 inch people on a flat screen. So welcome to the new normal. Sometimes I like to start with a joke. Life is pretty serious these days and pretty kind of surreal. Certain events are kind of all, you know, out there in left field, like what we had today in Lansing. But just an observation, I noticed that since the virus hit and we're doing the right thing by self-quarantining and sheltering, I was folding my laundry the other day. It's not too much information, but you know, about a week's worth of laundry, and I noticed I just folded up 3 pairs of socks. On a normal week, I would have 7 or 8 pairs of socks, depending on what outfit I wore, but most of the time I wear my slippers, which is what I have on tonight for this meeting. So, I mean, you got to take the good with the bad, I guess, but I thought it was really odd when I was folding my clothes and it's like, there's no socks here. So that's my little humorous thing for you guys tonight. Now, on to some more serious things. Connie kind of explained what I stand for. Definitely as a school board member, public education is at the top of my list, and getting education funded the way it should be for all of our students, and no matter what district they're in, they deserve proper access to a high quality education. And I think this is kind of has been playing itself out during this pandemic, where, you know, we have districts that have to mail lesson plans from teachers to their students because they don't have the bandwidth to access a computer, or kids don't have computers. So, you know, that's what Chromebooks are for. In districts like Walled Lake, which gets more money than Huron Valley schools, you know, they pretty much have a 1-to-1 computer ratio to students. In Huron Valley, we don't have that, but we purchased more Chromebooks for all of our students. And we know that kids don't get the kind of meals that they should be having during the day. So, you know, our free and reduced lunch program is great when kids are in school, but, you know, when they're home for the 12 weeks that we're kind of shut down for the rest of the year, they don't have meals. And so I think people are starting to realize the inequities that are across our state and in our federal government. The inequities that I am really eager to close those gaps. So while the Maddox were out in Lansing today endangering their neighbors and their fellow right to free speech protesting, you know, perhaps today wasn't like the greatest time for folks to protest that they have to stay inside because they can't get their boats in, or, you know, get their lawns mowed. And, you know, small business is taking a hit, but the numbers are starting to go down a little bit in Michigan by sheltering in place. And for those folks to go out, you know, from all over the state of Michigan, and Lansing was pretty foolhardy. So while they were doing that, I was doing some more work trying to understand the Small Business Association loans, SBA.gov, with the CARES Act, the $2 trillion that's out there. And so, well, they were out fooling around in their trucks and their Confederate flags. I was trying to understand the intricacies of the CARES Act, the $2 trillion that's out there for the public and small businesses and nonprofits and part-time workers to access. I'm not sure if Mr. Maddock has taken the time to do that, because it's not only for now, it's, you know, the businesses are going to be hit for a long time to come. In fact, I'm pretty much ready to get to Lansing and start fixing things, because it's not happening right now with our Republican-led legislature. They've controlled for the last 29 years. So, I mean, rather than go, you know, on this whole stump speech, I just want to give you a glimpse into my campaign and what I've been attempting to do since the shutdown. I have to give a shout out to my magnificent kitchen cabinet team and the greater group, which includes all of our Indivisible members, and Sherri for working so hard on all these different levels of organizing to get us elected. We want to be elected. So I'm hoping, you know, we can all do our part remotely, whether it's, you know, push forward my website, my Facebook. I'm doing a Facebook Live presentation tomorrow night on the Climate Change Art Show. 2 more things I'm passionate about: art and the environment and preserving the earth. But, you know, turning the switch off from doing stuff in person to doing stuff in front of a computer screen isn't my idea of loads of fun. Campaigning is interesting, but, you know, this is a tough way to do things, but we're adjusting. You know, I got the jitters out with my launch party speech. I'd much rather do that in public than staring at my face for 10 minutes talking. Not what I wanted to do, but we're working. We raised a lot of money that night. The kitchen cabinet is working hard, taking lots of webinars on how to campaign in the digital world. I'm sure the other candidates out in this audience are doing the same thing. I'm taking, again, webinars to try and understand the situation that we're in health-wise and financially. I was thrilled to be on a call set up by Emily's List, like a few days after the CARES Act came out. Elizabeth Warren spoke to, I don't know, on the other end of the line, 3,000 candidates across the country, and she's a brilliant woman. In 30 minutes, I took 5 pages of notes. I wrote really fast everything that she said, you know, that could help me convey the message to folks that are struggling in our community during this shutdown. Most of them, I'd venture to say, were not in Lansing today. They were home adhering to the shelter in place. I also took an interesting webinar a couple days ago in my travels online. I was on the Brookings Institute. They have different webinars and panels. I don't know if you're all familiar with the Brookings Institute. It's a think tank, progressive think tank. And so they had some brilliant economists, way smarter than this artist, but I did start to understand the types of loans that were out there and what they had said. And there was a woman there that was a CEO at Key Corporation, which is one of the largest lending institutes in the country. And it was her. There's actually a Detroiter there, Sandy, his last name starts with a B. He's the Detroit Regional Chamber of Commerce director, so he was on there. There was economists from the American, I'm gonna forget it, American Enterprise Institute, some fellows, you know, so very amazing people. But the gist of what they had said, between the PPE loans and the Main Street loans, even between the 2 of them, it's not enough money. And I know Mitch McConnell is fighting in the Senate to put out another $250 billion. They all said that's not enough. Like, we're going to need another $1 trillion at least to keep our small business and our individuals going for the next few months. Because probably that $350 billion now, it's working on 2 weeks, that's gone, that's exhausted. And that's pretty sobering. And that PPE was a bridge for just 2 months to get people through the hump. And some folks haven't received any of that money yet. And so they suggested that two reasons it should be $1 trillion. You can extend the filing deadlines because this company, they have 600, they usually file these types of loans, these 7A small business loans. They usually take care of 600 a year. And then in the first week, they were starting to process over 10,000 of these loans. So they went from 600 to a year to 10,000. And what they told folks, if you know anyone that hasn't applied yet, you have to go on the SBA.gov website and apply for the loan so that you're in the queue so that eventually you'll get called. If you procrastinate and don't apply, then you're going to be way down on a list somewhere. So they suggested that everybody apply. But they want this $1 trillion because then they can extend the deadline so people aren't rushing at scraps to get their money, and then there'll be enough money to cover everybody. So, you know, that was the gist of what all those folks were saying. So that's just a little glimpse into some of what I've been doing. And the CARES Act also has $35 billion for education. So I'm starting to unravel that mystery that goes to all states based on their Title I funds, which is free and reduced lunch funding for the poverty level. So there's money for education. And I'm going to close with this, you know, as public educators and on the school board, we're worried that, you know, we're taking a hit with the way we fund education in Michigan. Think about it, it's sales tax. How much are we buying right now? So every day that goes by, you know, that we can't drive or we can't buy something at a store, it goes against us in public ed. So I need to get to Lansing in January so we can start righting this ship. The Democrats need to flip the House so we can start righting this ship, because we're gonna be going down. I hate to be doom and gloom, but you know, the Republican legislator hasn't done right by the citizens of Michigan. So I'm ready. That's what I got for you. Win, Forrest, win.
Okay, real quick before Connie moves on, yay. I don't think some people are interacting on the chat, but not everybody, I'm sure, and the whole group is getting the stuff in the chat. So just so we don't get too far behind, John wanted to know what's considered a substantial amount of money to raise. And will you be doing something to share, like on Facebook or like a thermometer? Here's where I am, here's.
Yes, and yes, I would say, you know, I think that Sarah Moore is going to talk a little bit about what things cost. But for example, you see it on here, for 5,000 postcards, the designing of the postcards and the postcards, it's $1,100. So a lot of what we're going to do is going to involve marketing and visuals to get my name out there. And so, I mean, you know, candidate in a local state race can raise from $40,000 or $50,000 to $150,000. So it's pretty critical that now we start raising the money, and that continues through the life of this campaign till we get to the end. And I know the Democratic Party looks at how much money the candidate has raised, and unfortunately they add the viability of dollars to the viability of the candidate. So that's kind of the undercurrent there too for raising money.
Great. And then the other thing that came in from Sherri, and I have to admit I'm in the same boat, we need to help promote your event tomorrow night, and I have not seen anything about it come through on my feed. So we're more than willing to get it out there and reshare, but can we get that out pretty fast? And
actually, the event is Friday, and they've just been working on, you know, there's been press release out in the paper, and they're just really finishing up their poster. They've gone from, I'm on the gallery team, and so we're going to have a climate arts show. It's fabulous. It's going to be great, adults and kids.
But can we promote that for you?
But now it's all virtual. So I'm going to talk tomorrow about that, and then the show is on Friday. And I know Holly and Jeff are going to be talking about that too tonight.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Well, first, and I'm going to have a calendar too at the end of our little talk here. So next I want to introduce Luke Miller, who is on our kitchen cabinet team with Denise. And Luke is going to give us a little demonstration about how to share a page versus a personal Facebook page, Denise's campaign page.
So one of the neat things and neat, easy way for everyone to be able to help support Denise is through Facebook. And it's a really easy way to support her without having to spend any money. And it really makes a big difference. And that is by sharing on Facebook. The reason why it makes a big difference is that the more, instead of just liking, actually sharing, is because when you share something, it shows up on your timeline. And the more times that things get shared, the more times it shows up in other people's timelines. So the more opportunity it is to reach more people. So that's kind of the neat thing. And otherwise, it costs money to be able to get her posts out there. So the more people that we can get to share her posts, if we do spend money on Facebook, it goes farther, and the less money that we have to spend. So I'm just going to show you, one of the problems we had was that people were sharing Denise's personal page. So we just want to show you how to share her campaign page. This is her website, voteforest44.org. So when you're on Facebook, you know, everyone's familiar with what this looks like. Yours is going to look a little different because mine, I have lots of pages and stuff. So mine might look a little different than yours, but you'll see a place where you post. You know, if you wanted to just say, you know, something about Denise, instead of writing Denise Forrest, if you write her name, it might come up with her personal page. But if you actually do @voteforest44, you'll see her her campaign page. And it comes up with this weird looking, her name with it kind of highlighted. And you want to leave that and leave it highlighted. It's the way it's supposed to be. The reason why it's like that is when you post it, it'll make it a hyperlink. So when people click on her name, it'll take them straight to her Facebook page. So, you know, you could say Denise Forrest is a great candidate. The other portion is that you want to, you know, you want to try to put it in as many places as possible. So, you know, by default, a lot of times it'll just go to your newsfeed. Is a great person to support. It'll just go to your newsfeed, but you want to make sure it goes to your story too. You know, it's not a huge deal, but the more, you know, stories get special recognition in Facebook. And so the more places where you can have her post kind of show up for other people, the better it is. And the more chances are that we get to capture those views of other people. So, you know, you want to put it in both places and you click post and it'll post. Now, the other way to do it is that when you're on her page, when you get to her page and you see a post that you're like, you know, I think that's a great post and I want to share it and support Denise. So when you do that, you'll see the button, you'll see the three buttons, like, comment, or share. Please do like the post if you like it. Please comment and interact with it. That's another great thing. But most importantly, if you can share. So when you click share, you would just say share. It'll give you an opportunity to be able to share the page, you know, you can share it onto your own Facebook page. So that's kind of a crash course on this, on kind of how that goes. You know, there's lots of great information on the Facebook page. If you have questions, you know, the link to her website is on here, you know, so you can find out lots of stuff about her campaign on there. So if you have any questions, you know, you can let me know, but that's all that I have.
Thank you, Luke. I think there was one question in the chat from Sybil. Is it better to share on the newsfeed or your story?
You know, it doesn't make a huge difference. Stories is kind of like a program that Facebook came out to combat another tech company. And so it's just kind of a fast way to look at your friends and to get to see what's going on with them. You know, I would say if you're only going to do one, I would do the news feed. But if you can do news feed and story, it helps because then it, you know, some people will just, when they get onto Facebook, will just go to stories and you can just scroll through everybody, all your friends, and not really have to do much. But, you know, news feed is always good.
Okay, well, thank you very much. And now I'd like to introduce Sarah Smith. She's our data recorder on our campaign. So we want to switch to Sarah. Sarah has a little talk for us on fundraising.
Thanks, Connie. I haven't been Sarah Smith in 44 years, but
Sarah
I'll
Smith,
take it. It's
sorry.
okay. And today's
me
kind
nervous.
of has been kind of a day of reflection for me. It was 12 years ago today that I lost my mom.
Oh,
And I think about she would have been alone today in a hospital as she died if it was during this time. So my siblings and I all said how grateful we were that it was 12 years ago. She also would have hated what went on today in Lansing. But in her name, my husband and I are doing a substantial donation to the Forrest for the 44th campaign tonight. And also, I know everybody talked a little bit about, sorry about that. It's just always been a little bit of a tough day. But we talked a little bit about what the expenses are for running a campaign, and we do need to still fundraise for this campaign. Like the postcards we just ordered, 5,000 of them were $1,100, and that doesn't even include postage. So, and there's a lot of other expenses. People like my husband and myself, we're on, we get a pension and we get Social Security. I know a lot of people do. So the economy is not really affecting us. And we're able to donate, and there's times, like during these times, we don't get to go out to dinner or take our family out to dinner or do things we normally do. So we have been using that money that we would spend on things like that and making donations. So if you would just go out there and share Denise's Facebook page and her website, which is voteforus44.org, and ask people for donations. It can be $5, it can be $100, it can be $1,000. But we do need those donations to keep the campaign going. And also on May 4th, which also touches for me because my mom's birthday was May 4th, and her mother's name was May, and she was her fourth child. So it's always been May 4th, May's 4th on May the 4th. We're doing a fundraiser for the campaign, and the name of our fundraiser is May the Forrest Be With You. So stay tuned for information about that. You'll see it on the Facebook page. It's a Star Wars theme, and let's get the word out there. One thing we do is every time Maddox go out there and post something negative about teachers or healthcare workers or first responders, a lot of us on our kitchen cabinet group go out there and post right below their nasty post Denise's fundraising. And the one day that they were bashing teachers in particular, we raised $850. So we might be old, but we're mighty. So keep fundraising.
So post those pictures of those Confederate flags and the Trump 2020. They use the COVID-19 as an excuse to have a Trump rally and, you know, carry their rifles, and just an egregious breach of trust, I think, for our state. And they have the man who is our state representative have his wife organize something like this. reflects a little bit on him. I'm pretty sure, God forbid, if my husband, got this cockamamie plan going and I was a candidate or even being on the school board or in state office, I would forbid him from doing that. And I have my ways. So that wouldn't have been happening. So, the two of them are in this together, and I don't think they represent our shared American values whatsoever. One more thing on fundraising, though, I was anticipating doing small house parties, large house parties, garden parties, a paint and pour that I was going to do being an artist. But in lieu of that, we're still able to have you guys have some house parties, invite some of your friends and neighbors, and I could talk about my platform and we can raise a little money, kind of like an Ask Me Anything kind of house party. So those, now that we're a little more familiar with Zoom and Google Meet, those are quite doable. So, if you know anyone, put them in touch with me and we can work on getting that hosting thing going in the months of April and May, when I believe we're still going to be kind of shut in most cases. So thank you.
All right. So now I'd like to switch over to Holly Nickerson and to talk about the ECHO HV, our Environmental Council of Huron Valley calendar for some important dates for that.
All right. Thank you for letting me take a couple minutes for ECHO HV and the art show. So, of course, the Earth Day cleanup is postponed, and hopefully we will be able to do something this summer, especially being our first year as a group. Hope we can do something big for that. But the our Changing Climate art exhibit is now a digital, and thanks to Denise and Tiffany Stewart and their team for putting that all together. And they've made it digital now, and it opens live this Friday, the 17th, from 1 to 3. And first, in those 2 hours, they will actually have interactive kid-friendly art sessions with the artists. And then after those 2 hours, the art will continue to be displayed on the ECHO HV YouTube channel. And the art will be in thumbnail format where you can click on it and hear about it from the actual artist. And Tiffany told me she thinks that'll probably stay open for a while, like after Friday, so that people can enjoy it since we can't go there. That's a self-guided tour. And all the detail, it's on the Indivisible site. You can check it out. Nancy put that on there. Of course, you can go to the Huron Valley Council for Arts website, which is huronvalleyarts.org or ecohv.org. And will link you to the Huron Valley Arts Council, sorry, Denise. And when you're on that page, that has the link to look at the thumbnail and everything. So you have to go on there. But everything's very self-explanatory, and it is on our Facebook, and you can check everything out. I think it'll be actually a positive, uplifting event, and all the stuff going on to actually enjoy some art and see the artists talking about it. So thank you.
Okay, and thank you, Holly.
Welcome.
I have a question from Jeff Garner. Are the lessons also on YouTube?
Damn it, Jeff. No, I think when you go to the web page I think that's part of the opening thing, which is different. You go on the website and link you in. That link to the YouTube is a separate link.
Denise knows the answer to that.
Denise knows the answer. Thank you.
Yes, it's a Zoom meeting similar to this, and it's from 1 to 3. There's 3 artists that'll be, I think, a photographer, a a painter, one of them's Jim Williams, I believe, and a printmaker. Jim's the printer. And they'll talk about their craft, and then they'll do, maybe a 15-minute art lesson for kids. So if you have kids, grandkids, etc. So this is really what I'm going to be talking about. I'm seeing Nancy asked a question. So I'm just to do a Facebook Live to talk a little bit about my platform, me being an artist, and also a believer in climate change and the damage that it's doing every day that we live. So I'm going to kind of promote the art show tomorrow, because then people will have time to go and click the Zoom link and get, all the stuff they need to log in. And it will be videoed, and I'm sure here in Valley Council for the Arts will have it posted, and you'll be able to see that, the folks talking about their art, and you'll be able to click on each of the different art pieces, and there'll be the artist's name and possibly an explanation of them. So, it'll go on, it'll be on as a YouTube link on here on valleyarts.org.
All right, thank you, Denise. Now to wrap up, I want to just give everybody some information about the postcards. If you want to go to the speaker view, I have a little postcard that I made of my own. The first thing I want to pass on is that they'll be available tomorrow, and I'm going to be taking in I have a 3-tier little box thing with 25 or 50 that you can take. And they're in plastic bags with the instructions and a script. When you're done writing them, you email me. You don't have to do this, but if you choose to do this, we need to have a receipt of some kind with your name and address and your occupation, because it has to be reported on our election stuff, our election finance reporting as an in-kind donations. Otherwise, you can just bring them back to us, and we'll make sure they get out, and we'll take care of the postage. Again, my address is 702 East Huron in Milford. I have to warn you, I have a street that floods when it's wet out, but until we find a better, more central location, and I'm not sure what that means exactly, because District 44 is a big place, so we'll be passing them out from there. And then the last thing about the postcards is that they're in a plastic bag, and we want you to recycle that. And if you could return any unused postcards also, there's in each bag, there's a couple of extra for mistakes. So if you have some extras, please return those.
Connie, do you want me to put down your email or your phone number if people want to text you to say when they're coming?
Sure.
By? Is it okay?
Yeah, although it's in the bag also. The email's in the bag.
If people want to contact you, if they have any questions.
Yeah, or if they have any questions beforehand. Absolutely.
Okay. I'll type that in.
All right. Yeah, we'll put that in the chat area.
I know you have multiple emails. I'll get the best one.
The conlippert99@yahoo.com is the best one. Okay, so then the next thing I want to just go over is our important dates. We're looking at a possible mental health town hall on April 23rd. So maybe look for that coming up. Every Friday, Denise is going to be doing a live or a Facebook Live. Is that right, Denise? Did I get this?
That would be most Fridays, except unless there's an art show coming up that I have to get the word out about.
That's the one you're doing this week.
Yeah. Most on Fridays. Thank you.
Yeah. So if you're thinking about sharing or something, look on Friday especially, although there'll be posts during the week too. We also have the May 4th, May the Forrest Be With You fundraiser. So put that on your calendar. May 6th, we have the Blue Wave Wednesday with what is that? I'm not sure what the SW means.
Swim, it's for swim.
Yeah, swim. It's SW Indivisible Michigan, but is it
Statewide Indivisible.
statewide? That was it. I knew I was going to say Southwest, and I knew that was wrong. So statewide Indivisible's got the Blue Wave Wednesday. So look for Denise on May 6th, and it's going to be a special Mother's Day message. So that'll be really nice. And then the last thing I have is that a lot of you have taken the framing workshops with us, where we had the Liberal Leadership League with Brian Watson. And Brian Watson, Michelle Pallas, and Lisa Dorado. They've asked us to share these dates for their group. If you'd like to take a framing workshop, they're highly recommended. I know you have to take the Framing 101 first before you can take the 102. And then their website is down at the bottom here, www.liberalleadershipleague.org. So you have to go there to, okay, there, is that better? All right. You have to go to their website to get on there, to contact them for the registration and everything. But those are real good classes. And if you want to take something that'll really give you the confidence to talk about a lot of issues that might come up when you're canvassing, we highly recommend the Liberal Leadership Org. And if you've been to one of our workshops, you know how good these workshops are. So with that, I'm done.
That was amazing. That was a lot. Good job, you.
A lot of information.
And you know, something we didn't even think to say, but keep this in mind. I didn't want to interrupt Connie because she had so much good information. When we hold up something like that, since we're doing these virtually, you can just screenshot that screen and then you have all that information saved. You have to have a paper and pencil.
There it is.
Yeah, there you go. But it will all be in the follow-up newsletter. But some of this stuff is coming up pretty quick, so it's good to know it, have it logged in. But thank you so much. So the only last thing that we're going to make you listen to, this is interesting when there's not real people and you're not moving around. It's kind of weird. Is we're asking you all to get involved at the local level, but we do know how important it is to get the vote out. And you can impact that locally as well as nationally. And we do know that people with our values tend to do better in elections when we get the vote out. So I have been sort of like going to all of these workshops and checking out all these different projects that are out there. And so I just want to recommend 3 things that you could access now from home. They're all a bit different. They're all very focused on getting the vote out. So Vote Forward, people have used them before. It's a letter writing campaign. And what you can send out as few as 5 letters. You can send out in batches of 20, as many as you want. Basically, you get a form letter that's specific to the person that you're writing to. You can pick your campaign when you go on. So it might pull up a Texas campaign, but you can choose to do a Michigan campaign and mail to Michigan voters. And all the letter basically says is, I'm writing you today to tell you why I think it's important to vote. You fill in why you think it's important to vote, sign it, and then they're not going out until fall, closer to the election. So you have to hang on to them. The drawback to Vote Forward is that we are on the hook, you're on the hook for your whatever you put into paper, envelopes, stamps. There's no reimbursement for that. So that's basically you go into it knowing that you're going to donate that. Wave Michigan is something new that's out there, and Sherri and I sat in a training today, and it's not as hard as it seems, but I'm still going to do one more training before I really feel comfortable doing this. But it's based on relationships, and basically it's a program that allows you to go into your contacts and see how likely they are to vote, how they vote, and then send them a letter that's encouraging them to get signed up to vote absentee. What you can also do is you can go in and find how people are connected, like through looking them up on Facebook, and then you might realize that, oh, this person lives on my street and they also know so-and-so. I pull up my neighbor Kathy and I realize I don't have an email for her, but she and Sarah are friends on Facebook. So I contact Sarah and say, would you be willing to get in touch with Kathy and send her this letter about getting registered to vote as an absentee voter? So it's another thing, you just do it on home, on your computer, kind of easy peasy. My all-time favorite right now is When We All Vote. And I know I posted it on our Facebook page and a number of you have signed up to do this. This is this tool that they use is called Outvote. And Connie and I did a training last night actually because Haley Stevens' campaign is going to use Outvote as well. It is some remarkable texting program. It's a free app. And When We All Vote, they're the organization that was started by Michelle Obama, and it's just to get the vote out. And so they did what they called a couch party before one of the rounds of primaries. And so we were sending texts to voters in Texas, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. There were like 7,500 people on this training and on this call. And then they had some DJ came on and did music. And these are all young people, so they make this like really fun. And basically what the program does is gives you an account. So when I send out these 100 texts, nothing identifies me other than it says, hi, I'm Liz from When We All Vote, and I want to make sure that you're registered to vote and that you intend to vote. So you basically they pull up your list of 100 people, you sit there and hit send, because it's a prepared text. Then you can you have also had a inbox created for you. So any response you get goes into that inbox. You'll get notifications that you've gotten a response. Then there are also set up responses. So if somebody gets back to you and says, yeah, I'm really excited to vote, I'm already registered, you can send them back a response that says, that's fabulous, I'm so excited for you. Would you be willing to volunteer? Would you like to contact people to get them to vote? And so there's a way to do that. Or if they come back and say, hell no, I never vote, I hate that, there's a response you could send to them for that. And then there's a way to then get those responses back to submit. There's a little form, takes like 2 seconds to fill out, that gets that information back to the campaign. I sent out, the night we did the one about a month ago, I sent out 300 texts. I got maybe 20 responses back. Most of them were, this is the wrong number, this is not me, please don't ever contact me again. So you just tell the campaign that. And then a few of them were more interactive, but it allows you to have an interaction. It's really an amazing tool. I so love this tool. And just a little bit what Connie and I learned last night, the way Haley's campaign is using it right now, and it's obviously a way to build your volunteer base, but their message right now is just reaching out to people. How are you doing? These are difficult times. How are you doing? Is there anything that you need help with? Which to me is a really proactive way to get your name out there and get something done. So I just wanted to share those. They're like a little broader approach, but if you all were to raise your hand, I think almost every hand would go up that most of us worked on voter registration. We all know how important it is to get that vote out. So it's just something to think about doing, some other ways that you can get involved. Has anybody else used any of them? Have any comments on those? Unmute.
Hi, I've used it. Nancy?
Yeah.
I've used Vote Forward to write letters. It's really easy to do. You get a download of the letters. There's a little space where you could add your personal note and you sign it at the bottom, and you get the addresses. The downside to it is that you have to put it in a safe place, but not safe from you. And you have to remember where you put it. So I've actually wrote my script out on a Word document, and in the Word document, I put in where I hid it, where I put my letters. So, but it also helps to have your daughter who has a healthier mind at age 30, who's also writing these letters with me, and she'll remember for me. You can download 5 letters at a time, or 20 letters to write. The other thing about it is you can also change your district. The district I was just randomly assigned was Texas. You can change your campaign, I think is what the tab says. but you could change it then to Michigan, and you can write to people from Michigan. So that's also something that you could do.
Yeah, I found it really easy and amazing that it was that simple to do.
Yeah, Liz?
I've used, in 2018 for Laura Dodd's campaign, I used an app called Red to Blue, which is a lot like the Outvote. It's an automated texting tool, and it hides you, it gives them a phone number that's not your personal number. And we did texting from our personal phones for Laura Dodd, and that was, I mean, everybody had it and we just dealt with it, but this is a little bit nicer to not have your phone number.
It is. And Outvote that's what they do.
That's what Outvote, and it's real quick too. You don't have to actually copy and paste. You just click on the script and you can customize it a little bit if you want. And then you go to an inbox, and Red to Blue work the same way. And you can do like 100 texts, 100 numbers in 45 minutes.
Oh, I think I did 300 in under a half hour.
Yeah, it's almost like you can do so many that you have to limit yourself, because
you're going to get all those responses.
You're going to get some responses and you want to answer them timely. So they say you should limit yourself to 100 at a time so you can actually handle the responses and not get behind. But you can do it for your well, a campaign has to sign up for it, and Denise and I have that on our schedule to talk about, because there is a cost for the campaign.
I'm sure there must be, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not sure the difference, but we're going to find out what the different plans are and stuff. So
another cost, another donation.
Available.
There you go. Sherri, yeah?
Yeah. Having gone through a couple of trainings for WAVE, since I'll talk about the other program, I think that has a lot of potential for Denise's campaign as well, because it's very local. For instance, I can type in Milford Glen, okay, which is where we live in that subdivision, and all of my neighbors will pop up. And I can find all the ones that are designated blue, potentially Democratic voters, and whether they are inclined to vote or not inclined to vote. And if they are sort of in a certain percentage, you can send them, just with one click, a form letter from their neighbor saying, you know, we really think, you know, here's the link. You can just hit this link and you can sign up for an absentee voter request form. And so what it is urging them and sort of reminding them to sign up so that they can get permanent into absentee voting and sign up for that feature. Because like we were saying before, statistically, absentee voters tend to vote Democratic, or tend to vote, you know, more in the line that we would vote in. So I like WAVE for that. It's a brand new app and they're working out the bugs, and you can tell, you know, that. But I think in terms of its local appeal, I think it has potential. So I'm going to at least try it for a while.
I'm going to play with it. There's going to be a training next week specific to precinct delegates. I don't know if I stayed on the call till they got to that point. And so John and Susan, Eric that came to one of our meetings just a little while back about precinct delegates, they're going to set that up. And then I think if I play with it, it's not hard. It just, the one fellow who has done the 2 trainings I've done gets a little he's kind of all over the place, and I need time to play in between. Yeah. So it's just not my learning style. But they have Larry Lipton is very involved with them. He had to get off our meeting to go on another call, but they're very willing to do part of a meeting to train people if people want. So maybe, you know, weigh in on that if that's something you all would like training to learn how to do. I think that for Denise's campaign, WAVE could be really valuable, because we will be just reaching out to friends and neighbors and friends of friends and neighbors. So
we don't even have to wait for a regular meeting. We could have a special training.
But they're willing to come and train us.
Yeah, and they're willing to come and do like a special training for our group. Yeah.
Rather have Julie, the Femmes for Dems people, do the training. The training
I agree.
A year ago was much more cohesive than the one with the fellows.
Yep.
The fellows developed the program. these two fellows out in Ann Arbor. And so it's sort of like having the grad student help you with something, and or the professor help you with something, you know. There, it's just they get it too quick, so they fly through it a little bit. But it's a cool program. I highly recommend. We've put it up there on the Facebook page. I'll get the information to Jon for the newsletter. They're doing trainings. In fact, I just put it's on that slide I just had. That's right. You can go through that link and get signed up to get trained to do it. It's very cool. So we only have a few minutes left.
Right. Can I ask a question?
Oh yeah, of course.
Question. When you were talking about the program with the texting that was so easy, can you just repeat the name of which program that was?
Outvote.
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 Yeah. Outvote.org, or was it .com? I can't remember.
I don't know. You go to the Play Store or wherever you buy your apps. It's a free app. All right, she's not new to our group, but since we can't see everybody who's on the call, you may not know she joined us. I sent her the text, so I'm so glad she joined us. We all loved our Lisa Del Vecchio, and we're talking about voter registration. We miss us a lot, so Lisa, say hi to everybody.
Everybody, I'm crashing the meeting.
Your aunt Angela on my text list, and you came up, and I thought, well, hell, I'm just going to text her. It's virtual.
Oh, I'm so excited. At the beginning, but I love that you're doing this. I'm proud of you guys and the group. And
you know how tech we are, Lisa. You remember us with a Google survey? It was like overwhelming when you introduced us.
You are awesome. It's awesome. I'm new to Zoom too. So great job. It's so great to see you. Keep up the great work. I will say, I thought as I was listening to us talk about voting earlier, I moved to Colorado, and within a week of registering to vote online, I had a ballot mailed to me.
Wow.
We're one of, I think, 3 or 4 states that have this mail-in balloting.
Right.
It made me think about all the work that was done around Proposition 3, I believe it was, that we were educating the high school students on last year, how important that making absentee balloting more accessible, how important that was. So
it's great to hear.
Super easy out here. I mean, there's 100 places you can drop off your ballot before and on election day. So I'm hoping that's the way things are going in Michigan. But just want to say hi. I'm going to try to join any future meetings on Zoom just to show support. And, you know, it's just nice to see all of you. And I hope you're all safe and well.
Yes, we miss you.
Miss you guys too.
So not to keep you all here too long, but does anybody have a great quarantine story? Like a great, I have one I shared the other night, a friend's toilet paper story.
No, but I have an announcement.
Oh, go Pat.
Well, not an announcement, but Connie was supposed to say if anybody would like me to drop off postcards.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. But if you do, just, I don't know, do you want to email or let Connie know, and I will drop the postcards off. So
yeah, if anybody wants, is unable to get over to Milford, email me. The email is on the chat list here, and we'll post it too. And Pat has volunteered to take the postcards over and pick them up. So is that correct, Pat?
Sure.
All right. And
That's
so,
fine.
yeah, just let us know. It will be no big deal. We have, we have great volunteer.
Okay. That's it. I don't have a story, Liz. Sorry.
Oh, drat. Wait, before I get Nancy's story, Nancy's raising her hand. I did forget Henry. He wants to start his day after, well, it actually was Saturday after. So Henry, do you want to share what you're doing?
I'm here. Hey,
you're on mute.
He's good.
Jon set up we'll send you a link to the meeting at 10 o'clock on Saturday so that we can have an opportunity to just kind of talk about current issues, past meetings, we could talk a little bit about tonight, what we heard from different people, and just give another chance to kind of get other viewpoints on issues of the day. Even like, like I said, the Medicare for All or National Health Program, what are some different views on that? And then other views kind of like on this thing that we should let this virus wash over us. I mean, really? I mean, help me understand that. Anyways, that'd be a thought. John's going to send it out. if you want to join at 10 o'clock Saturday, glad to have you on board.
Nancy, check. You have a story?
Just really quickly, a couple things. I felt really, I don't know, victorious today. I went to senior hours at Costco and scored toilet paper and paper towels.
You're my hero, Nance.
My thought is for everybody to remember not only the healthcare workers and those people who are on the front lines, and all those people who are vulnerable, like most of the people in this group, but to also remember those people who, the over 50% of Americans who live paycheck to paycheck and who are not working and are relying on getting those unemployment benefits that they're having an extreme difficulty in signing up for. And to also remember those people who are waiting for that relief check in the mail. So it's really easy to be very angry with what happened today at Lansing, but there are real people who are desperate, who are out there. I'm not saying that the people in Lansing were desperate. I'm just saying that there are real people who are out there that are desperate. And it's hard for people like me, who is not relying on that paycheck. So please keep in mind the two spectrums, the difficulty that our governor is facing in weighing those issues, but also the difficulties that a lot of people face. That's my only thought. Sorry to end with a downer, but remember, toilet paper and paper towels.
So, homeschooling. If you've all been talking to your kids who have been embarked in this whole thing about homeschooling that they've never intended to do before or even really wanted to do before, you'll kind of understand and appreciate that. I have a we have a 6-year-old granddaughter named Phoebe, who is a force of nature. And she, school probably isn't her favorite thing in the world, but her mom is doing the best to be a homeschool teacher. And a few weeks ago, we had one of those like today, unexpected little snowstorms. And she got up in the morning, she looked out the window and she said, "Mom, I think we ought to have a snow day today." And Sarah says, "No, those don't count anymore." So I think the homeschooling
wanted the label.
That's fun.
I had one with we dropped Easter baskets off on Sunday at all the grandkids' houses. And when we went around to the back deck and their whole door wall was covered with numbers written in bright colors and words, small words. They have a 7-year-old and a first grader and a kindergartner. I said, "Oh, are you guys writing on your door wall?" She goes, "Grammy, this is our word wall. We don't have a big whiteboard like we have at school. This is our word wall." I said, "Oh, okay." And she could read every word that was on it, so that made me happy.
Right.
Backwards.
Nancy, backwards. Anybody else have something?
Nancy, I just wanted to tell you that I was cleaning again, and I found some more, it's a small amount, it's only a yard of elastic, and it's a 3/8 inch stretch lace elastic. I didn't know if that would work or not, but I have this if you want it.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm continuing to make hats, and so I need the elastic for the hat, so thank you.
Okay, I'll put it out on the front porch. I'll just lay it out just like this. I don't think we have any raccoons or anything that come by and take it.
They're gonna steal
I want to see what they make out of it.
Where are you donating them? Nancy, where are you donating the masks?
I'm not doing masks, I'm doing caps. And I'm making them, Cheryl Herman takes them and distributes them to workers at the hospital where she's at, which I think is a Providence hospital.
Both my daughters are in healthcare. And my older one is a nurse at Hutzel on contingent, as well as an instructor at Baker College. And I get 3 phone calls a day making sure I am staying home and not going out anywhere ever. And she would like my other daughter to move out of our house and stay in a hotel for the duration. And I told her that was not possible. So we have sort of quarantined the younger one who works at a rehab center into 2 rooms or 3 rooms in the house, and we stay on our side and she stays on the other. And, you know, it's just been interesting. These phone calls from my kids about where I am and what I am doing all the time. So that's that story.
So we all find something to smile about. Holly, did you have something?
Oh no, I'm backing on Karen's, a friend of mine, and you know, we're all just like 60 and all of a sudden we're 90, because I had a friend who her kids, who didn't seem like they'd be this way, were worried about her, and they live in Indiana, and it was possible tornado last week, you know, and they said to Annie, if there's tornado warnings, where are you gonna shelter? And Annie's like, we're not 5, we know to go in the basement. Like they felt like they like forgot everything about taking care of ourselves, because all of a sudden we've been pushed to this bracket of like, we know. True. You grew up in Indiana, you know to go in the basement.
Elizabeth, I want to hear your story about toilet paper.
Oh, this is a friend's story. I was on a call with her the other night. It's Michelle Palace. Some of you met her during the Liberal. So apparently her husband went to the grocery store, and of course it must be set up sort of like our Kroger's is, like the paper products are near the frozen or some of the Kroger's, not ours, frozen stuff. So there's no toilet paper on any of the racks, but some guy is up on top of the freezers with this hook. And apparently at some point there had been toilet paper stored up there and it had fallen down below. So he's like hooking up these rolls of toilet paper and tossing them behind him. And so it was like whoever caught toilet paper went home with toilet paper. So her husband scored 3 rolls. He was pretty happy.
It was like Trump in Puerto Rico throwing towels, paper
The things
towels.
that you never would think that you would see. I'm just sorry.
I scored toilet paper and paper towels, Costco online, and it got delivered. It took forever, but it did come.
I'm glad most of us are finding something to smile about, even if it's just the absurdity, because I have to admit, we've talked all of us a little bit in different meetings about what did we learn during this process, and I have to make everything into a learning experience. Just shoot me.
I learned how to bake pie from Karen Adams for my husband's birthday.
All right. Well,
and it was delicious, completely thanks to Karen.
All right. Karen's a good
Karen
cook.
makes pretty amazing pie. I went
Yes,
to her
she
pie
does.
fundraiser. It's a pretty good one.
But what I've learned is how much I need
Pies are delicious.
this community to keep me sane. When I don't have it, even if it does drive me crazy that I'm sitting in 3 Zoom meetings in a day, I just go too internal. You know, so I really am thankful to everybody and their smiles, because otherwise I feel like I'm living in one of my science fiction books day to day.
Yeah.
I've read way too many post-apocalyptic novels. I'm just saying. So thank you all for showing up. This was a pretty successful meeting, I think. And thank you, Jon.
Yeah.